Indeed, I enjoy them to very disturbing degrees. That was Shooting Stars, also known as Believe by Rehab Mufasa. And right now, it's doing a lot of things to me. And hopefully, the effect extends to you. All right. So, for this hour, we will be touching the education sector. Yes, indeed. Because you've heard that it is important, it's a right, not a privilege. Well, our lawmakers seem to share that sentiment. And so they are pushing for stronger laws nationwide. The Senate has now passed through its third reading a bill seeking to stop and punish all forms of sexual harassment of students in schools across the country. The bill, which also came from the House of Representatives, is meant to protect students from any kind of sexual abuse or misconduct in schools and to provide clear laws for arresting and punishing offenders. While discussing the bill, many senators praised its purpose but suggested that it should go beyond schools. Senator Adams Oshiomhole said the law should not only protect students but also cover workers and others who may face sexual harassment in their workplaces and different environments. Well, reactions have trailed that move by the Senate as some female students in River State have welcomed the bill. Speaking to our correspondent, the students say the bill is a good step that could help end cases of male lecturers demanding sex in exchange for grades.
As a student, though, it's good because there's some lecturers are just harassed, and even when you report to the school authorities, they won't do anything. And if they are putting it in law, it's a good thing. At least it will help lecturers. At least they will be cautious, knowing that this thing is punishable.
It will actually stop many problems in the sense of sometimes in school, this sleeping with girls to get grades and all that.
One student added that while the bill is important, its success will depend on the government and school authorities having the courage to enforce it.
Bringing the bill is a strong and necessary move, but it will only work if the government and the school system have the courage to enforce it without fear or favoritism. Yes, if they do so, thousands of students will finally be able to learn without intimidation or trauma.
The students are speaking, and as you can tell, female students were the ones interviewed. Well, my guest is an expert of educational history and policy from the Educational Foundation Department of the University of Port Harcourt. Is Dr. Ben Nyewusira. Sorry for mispronouncing that. Welcome, doctor. Thank you for making the time.
Good afternoon, Sam.
How are you doing?
Great to be here.
Yes, indeed.
And then having a conversation with you for the first time.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Live on radio, actually.
Yes.
Because we've conversed in the background.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for making the time, even though I understand what it took to get you here. Okay. So, what was your first reaction, and possibly by extension, the reaction of the academic community to the Senate moving to criminalize sexual harassment on campus?
It's okay. And I think, personally speaking, over time, I've personally queried the activities of our lawmakers and lawmaking in this country.
Yeah.
But in this case, I stand with the lawmakers completely.
Okay.
Even if I, like Senator Adams Oshiomhole, also would advocate that the law be made in such a way that it will protect every person, both students and educators, alike. But it does appear that for now the law is just centered, focused on how to protect the student.
Yeah.
Okay. So my reaction is that it is a welcome development, no doubt about it, because this menace has been with us. When I mean with us, with the university system, for as long as one can remember. I'm sure that while you were in school, you would have heard of cases, surrounding this. And don't forget, like you made in your intro, those of us who focus on history and history of education, by the way, not just the general history. We know that most of the clandestine groups that came up in universities back in the day, part of the excuses, they came up with was that they were going to use their groups to checkmate the excesses of the lecturers.
Yeah.
And, before, such group now, metamorphosed into the devilish acts and very disturbing acts. But they will argue from time that part of the reasons why some of those groups came up was that they were using it to shield their fellow students from the menaces of sexual harassment and other forms of unethical behaviors from the teachers. So in a nutshell, it's welcome. We need to tackle this, and it is not peculiar to Nigeria, I must say. We read about this even in Western universities, in other African universities, and all of that. Bad behaviors are everywhere, Sam.
True.
Even under this roof, we cannot deny that. So, and what is the way to address bad behaviors? You come up with laws. You come up with ways to prevent it, and I like the way the bill is captioned. It is centered on prevention, bill to prevent, prohibit, and of course sanction. So we must do everything to prevent it, the reoccurrence, of this malady. That's it.
Okay, I'm glad you took me back to when I was in school, because I remember at the time there was a running rumor.
Yeah.
We always hear about lecturers having relations of a sexual nature with female students, right? But you never really could confirm those rumors. It was always a rumor,
Yeah.
right? You heard it. You heard, oh, this lecturer is doing this with this person. But of course, you couldn't do or say anything because you were not sure. But I also remember there was another time where it was also rumored that some female students were approaching and harassing lecturers. There was one in particular. At that time, he was a lecturer who just came back from the US and he joined our department. So he taught us.
Yeah.
And later, the guys in my class were like, man, girls are after this guy, that they are really going after him. They're offering themselves to him. And well, being young guys, we just laughed. But my concern, because for this to become a bill that the National Assembly has to propose, started at House of Reps, got to the Senate, and now it's past third reading. Not only does it show the rot in the system, it also is showing the inability of these institutions to self-police. And a lot of times we refer to institutions of higher learning, we call them names as Citadel, the hallowed halls. You talk about how it helps to shape
Ivory Towers.
exactly human behavior.
Yeah.
Now, if such an institution that has that responsibility cannot check itself with issues like sexual harassment, and then our legislators have to literally propose a bill that would become a law. Meanwhile, the school should have just... Why have schools been unable to curb it?
Well, it is not to say that the institutions are looking the other way while this menace, grows. No, it's not. I do not think. You see, incidentally, I told you I had an experience with one of your colleagues some time ago,
Yeah.
and I remember that this will not even be the first time I will be talking about this here in this studio. I had a conversation with Joy Berebe some time ago while she was here over this. Why? What happened? It was because then, I think it was University of Lagos, I can't remember now, but it has to do with a university in the southwest, whether it is Unilag or
UI.
Bafemi Awolowo University, between these two, where one Professor Akinjide, I can remember the name now, was sanctioned. In fact, he lost his job. Right. In that case, there was an undercover story. Somebody, did an undercover story, and then the university had to act. So this question came up, and I said, no, it is not as if the universities are not acting. There are ethics and privileges committees, that look into this. And if in fact, the most recent was, I think, about last year, a professor in the Faculty of Law. I don't know if you know. As we speak now, I think that prosecution is ongoing. At a point, ICPC took over. The university, was on it. ICPC waded into it, and then, so it's not as if university authorities, like I said, hands akimbo while these things are going on. No. But I think that this law is to strengthen, whatever universities are doing. And don't forget, Sam, I just did a perusal when you informed me about this an hour or two ago, so I did a perusal of the bill and discovered that even the bill has mandated the institutions to set up independent committees on this matter. Okay, although the law is framed in such a way that their hands are tied, because part of the things they said is that if the institution or a given institution is on the matter, investigating the matter, if the matter gets to the court, anything that comes out of whatever the institution is doing is null and void. That's just go through it. So for me, it's a way of, yes, empowering the institution as well as also not helping them to go through the hog or the whole hog in tackling this. Because if you have mandated them, in fact, there are sanctions now for heads of institutions who don't act.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So if they proceed on acting, and at the end of the day, okay, maybe the student who is affected, decides to abandon that procedure and goes to court, it means that by that bill, anything that comes out of that investigation process will be of nullity, and that's where I have issues with some part of this bill.
All right, Dr. Ben.
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes to the break. I'd like to talk about systems and structure.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about it for two reasons. One, I've been in a situation where I've seen it work. Secondly, my fascination with it has led me to try to study it. Where things work with an over 90% accuracy, it is noted that they have set up a system to ensure that people comply.
Yeah.
And I give you two examples. I always say this on air. I worked at a company over 10 years ago where coming to the office with your ID card is a policy, maybe even a law. But while it is a law, nobody begs you. Because if you don't come with your ID card, you'll be useless that day. You can't unlock the door to your office. You can't gain access to the office. You can't even unlock your system. So the office has told you, make sure you come with your ID card. But you know that if you don't come with it, it is detrimental to you because of the systems they put in place by way of technology.
Yeah.
The second, I'm a part of an academic program.
Okay.
And you know that with that, there are deadlines, submit assignments, projects, and all of that. And with those deadlines, they also don't beg you.
I know.
Because for every day after the assignment deadline that you don't submit, there's a percentage taking off your grade automatically.
Yeah.
So if today is the deadline and you don't submit today, by tomorrow, 10% is off, meaning that you cannot score 100. And everybody complies because the system
It's working.
was designed to make you comply. So after the break, we'll talk about the system.
It's okay. Interesting.
Is it designed to make it detrimental in the school before we now talk about what can happen externally? Please stay with us.
lecturers, at least they will be cautious knowing that this thing is punishable.
It will actually stop many problems in the sense of sometimes in school, this sleeping with girls to get grades and all that.
Welcome back. Those are some female students in River State welcoming the bill. Speaking to our correspondent, the students say the bill is a good step that could help end the cases of male lecturers demanding sex in exchange for grades. My guest, Dr. Ben Nyewusira, who is an expert in educational history and policy of the Educational Foundation Department of Uniport, is still right here with me. You're welcome once again, Doc.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. So before the break, systems and structures that ensure that some things do not even happen. What kind of systems exist?
In particular to the university system?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
In checking this menace.
Yeah, like I told you, there are systems,
Okay.
Put in place. Particularly, I do know that virtually all the universities, and I do not know of any university that does not have a committee on ethics and privileges. Right. So it is put in place to address issues of this nature. But Sam, you were citing an example of your experience with systems. Now, systems would always work with culture.
True.
Right? So when you find a cultural milieu, an environment that is always diffusing systems, you run into a dilemma. I give you an example. The other day I was listening to a senator who has been in the news now for not the best reasons anyway, and her passport was seized.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and she was crying out, and rightly too. But again, she made a statement that was personally worrisome to me. She said that the president has directed that all cases against her should be dropped. She made that statement that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has directed the Attorney General that every court proceedings, I think, against her should be dropped. And I'm asking.
That's worrisome.
In systems, right, that work, will the President just with a phone call direct that, a case, assuming the state has genuine reason to prosecute her, will the President, right, now give a phone call and all charges could be involving criminal charges will all be dropped. But here we are. That is the system. That is, the culture we are here.
Yeah.
A phone call can dismantle a system. And it is not strange. Sometimes they say it is order from above.
Yes, sir.
So when orders from above come, the systems will succumb, no matter how well structured, how well. In this part of the world, I tell you, there is nothing that we have not brought to the table as far as governance is concerned. Best policies and all of that. Some, But again, how do we implement? How do we run those policies? At the end of the day, influences, external influences, like I said, would go, deep to diffuse and derail those systems. That's where we are. That's our story. We cannot deny it. So that's just my answer for that.
So with that means we're still not certain about the implementation of this bill if it eventually becomes a law. Well, I'll open the phone line shortly for the listener to be a part of this conversation. I'm not trying to start a gender war, but have there been recorded cases of male students claiming that they were harassed? It's mainly the females that come out for obvious reasons, but do we have cases where male students also say, you know what, I was approached by this female lecturer, or there was an attempt at harassing me sexually?
Well, I can't actually lay claim to having any knowledge about that from my own environment.
Yeah.
But I do know, I read from papers, that there are cases where, even offshores where female teachers harass, their students. Pedophile
Yeah.
is a pandemic
It happens.
outside this country.
Yeah.
And you see some very, like you said, you don't want to start a gender war. Some mothers, going, defiling the boy child and all of that. So it's two-way. The bill didn't say it must be a male student or a female student.
Yeah, sexual harassment of students.
Students. So
that's what it said.
That's what it says. Yeah.
All right, would like to hear from you. The numbers are call 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0003. WhatsApp is 080 903 06416. We're talking about the bill that is against sexual harassment in schools, of course, of students. Now, the question is, have you or someone you know experienced sexual harassment in a school or university? And would this new bill make a difference in protecting students? If and when you call, please turn off your radio. I'll be taking calls shortly. Of course, the phone lines are already open. I understand that the male ego might also be a consideration because a lot of times, and this is based on expert analysis, guys who were abused do not even consider it abuse. Some of them might think of it as bragging right. They don't position themselves as victims. And if that's the case, where, a female with a higher power and authority is looking to abuse power, some guys might not consider themselves victims. That might also reduce the number of cases of males coming forward. Dede from Nyewusira, you're live on air. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I greet you, Oracle. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening to your guest in the studio.
Very good evening, sir.
I have a little concern here.
All right. What's the concern?
I wouldn't want to think that your guest is if you have had any experience of sport in the past.
Dede, I can't. Dede, hold on. The last part of what you said was not clear.
Okay, I said that I have a little reservation on
Okay.
the response of your guest over the question you asked him if he had any experience of such happening in uniform, which he said to the best of his knowledge, there is none. I begin to ask myself, how long has he been lecturing that such cases has not occurred? Anyway, that is by the way. My concern is the explanation of this bill from your guest is giving me a very big concern because it will not be a waste of time for the students or the lecturer who laid this complaint to the school authority that the matter will not end there. It will now be taken to court, which will be decided by the court. Considering the kind of judiciary that we have, what we also said, it's an evolving expensive time despite the state of the matter. So we will be brought into a corner, and it will not be okay for this country that one man will take an institution.
Okay, Dede. Sorry, it's breaking. But just to be clear, and I'm hoping you're listening over the radio, I didn't ask my guest if it had happened at Uniport. I asked about what the schools are doing to curb it.
Exactly.
That was the phrasing and the framing of my question, I'm certain. And of course, his response were along the lines of the efforts and the systems. So please, based on what you said, if you're saying that he said he doesn't know of any incident in Uniport, I did not ask if it happened at Uniport. B.O.B. from Mbiama. Hello, B.O.B.
Oracle.
Good evening.
This matter of harassment, thank God the guest in studio has put it right, including yourself. I witnessed many times in River State University when some lecturers will have to argue and contend at with the female students on what they are wearing. Pump shorts, sleeveless, spaghetti, all those things. Sometimes, like in the hostel, so I stay in the hostel. Hey, they say it's not school hour now. It's not school hour. I'm free to wear anything. But it's not school hour, but students are around. See, women harass men sexually with their body because men are talking about what they see. Before the game or before the lecturer asks, you have advertised yourself to him in the open. You have done whatever you know how to do best in your own brain. Market yourself or expose yourself. Then by the time the man, you have sown that seed in him, then when he now comes to his office, his secluded place, he now begin to make demands. Then you say this and that.
Okay, baby, let me ask you.
Ask me.
What do you do for a living?
Myself.
Yes.
I'm an engineer. I do landscaping and horticulture.
Okay. Now, if I keep some money carelessly, let's say a sizable amount, 500,000,
Yes.
like I kept it carelessly, and you happen to see this money, will you steal the money with the excuse that you are hungry?
My moral, my integrity and morality will not allow me to steal it.
Okay.
I'm talking about some who don't have that kind of morality.
Thank you very much. So, the same integrity, while I'm not saying ladies should dress anyhow, it is also not an excuse for the men that you claim are harassed to behave anyhow.
We are wonderfully and fearfully made. You hear me? The way we are created is different from the way women are created. Our body chemistry is different. And except you have been redeemed or your heart is purged, there's nobody that will see what some of these things are advertising. Those on the deluded mind that will not get aroused and with opportunity. So they should also tell them to dress well.
Okay, B.O.B., thank you very much. So you're blaming it on dress code. Daniel from Imo Gates, good evening.
Good evening, Samarako.
Good evening.
Daniel in Imo Gate, Ozuako. My take on this subject matter is that it's a good one that they pass such a bill, but I think there are things pressing on ordinary Nigerians that they would have looked into, like reducing the cost of governance. But by the way, we are focusing on sex harassment. Yes, you see, while the men are caught up in this web, I think the judgment is left for God. Just like the last caller said, there are advances women or these female students do that you cannot bring to the notice of ordinary. So God has that one to judge. I am not trying to defend the men. That's the way I look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Ezekiel from Ubimini. Good evening, Ezekiel.
Good evening, Mr. SOC.
Good evening.
Mr. SOC, I think we have just one factor to curb this ugly menace in this country, which is indecency. Both the male and the female gender are guilty of this. Mr. SOC, I want to let you know that the size of my child top is what the adults now are wearing. I don't know if you understand me.
I'm trying to.
And it will make the men or the boys to look like weightlifters, sagging. While the girls, their issue is overemphasized. Therefore, I would advise the lawmakers not to depend on the immoral or sexual harassment, but also consider the indecent dressing that we are having in our society. Because what you see or what you saw with your eyes will attract an ugly urge that may lead you to, I don't know where, maybe it may lead somebody. I don't know if you get me, Mr. SOC.
I understand.
So that is my own take. Let the lawmakers also consider the indecent aggression.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, the lawmakers cannot do everything for our universities. There are policies on dressing, I'm certain, with most schools. If it has to take legislation for everything to be done, then there is a very big problem. Muriel calls from Okrika. After Muriel, we take a few messages and I get back to the guest. Good evening, Muriel.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. This is Okrika woman.
Go ahead.
Sally, please, before I proceed, can you please remind us what is the bill that was passed?
It's not been passed yet. It just passed the third reading. It has not become a law, but it is a bill seeking to stop and punish all forms of sexual harassment of students in schools across the country.
Thank you, Sam. Now, I was talking to some teenage girls 3 days ago, and I asked them, they are in secondary school, senior secondary to be precise, and I asked them how many of them want to get to the university. All of them raised their hands, and I said, okay. And I gave them something to do, and most of them failed. And it was so easy to pass that thing I gave them. And I gave them, and they failed, and I asked them that question, and I started talking. I said, if you want to go to school, you have to read. Now, I'm not trying to, say there is any reason why anyone has to do evil, because actually you don't have any reason for you to commit a crime, anything wrong. But I said you have to read, at least read. So when you pass a course in the university, I told them what it takes, for what you have to go through if you don't want to read your books as a girl. That is even more difficult as a girl than a boy. I told them all this, that you have to, sometimes there are some girls that have told me that you have to go and pay for a hotel for a lecturer. Go and invite him. After that, you give him money. And according to, if he likes, he will give you a B or an E or a D, but you pay for the hotel, you give him money. All these things are things that girls are going through. Nobody should make no mistake about it. This is the reality of what is going in the university. So I told them, and they were laughing. Some of them were scared. I said, yes, just read. But when you read, and the lecturer fails you because you're beautiful, then you can stand and go to any length, call out the lecturer. You can even go to the Senate. So girls don't even go to the Senate to call out lecturer, because you know why? They don't read. They fail. And the lecturer took advantage of that and do whatever he likes. And there is look, Sam, I just believe as a teacher, lecturers, we don't call them lecturers, we just glorify, gratifying the name, They are teachers. That's who they are. If somebody brings their child to you to teach, to try to move their destiny, and you destroy it, you don't have any reason to. Now, it's not classroom learning that you are obliged or you are obligated to do. It is not morally. When you see a girl that is of your daughter's age, even if you don't have a child as a man, that comes to class or walks around naked, it is your duty to call that child to order. You come out of school in character and in learning. And it's not a school building that does that.
All right, Muriel.
The teachers in the school.
Thank you very much.
It's a good bill, and they should be held responsible for whatever they do.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Ben, we've had opinions shared by the listener. Let me quickly take these two messages as we wrap up this conversation. The reason why most students talk about harassment in some universities is that most of the students don't want to study. They hope that mark will be given to lecturers when they know that the students did not write anything. This person shares the sentiment of Muriel. And Matthew Jonathan says, sexual harassment is widespread concern in Nigeria that needs to be tackled comprehensively, extending beyond lecturers to encompass friends, lawmakers, pastors, and all individuals. Who does that? With this, we can win the war against sexual harassment. Thanks and God bless. Okay. Dr. Prince Nelson says the law against lecturers sexually harassing students is a wonderful bill, but our problem here in Nigeria is implementation and favoritism. The bill will definitely face challenges like all other bills that are not functioning properly because of administrative ineptitude. Okay. Sexual harassment, banning satchel alcoholic drinks is not as important as the electoral reforms and judicial autonomy Nigerians have been agitating for. The Senate should be deliberate on more pressing demands, although I'm not saying sexual harassment does not exist. Well, who says they can't happen concurrently? Who says that the Senate only has to propose one bill because it's more important? Well, Dr. Ben, you've heard the feeling of those who decided to call.
Yeah.
Some are blaming lecturers, others are blaming students for their fashion sense. Some say the students are not reading. There's lots of blame to go in every direction. And
Absolutely.
to some degree, it might be warranted. But now the concern, even some of the girls who spoke, is about the will to implement. If this becomes a law with our current system, do you think that we can enforce it?
Why make a law if we can't enforce it? That should be my reaction.
There are lots of, I can give you a lot of laws that we're still...
Again and again, I would want to ask the lawmakers, why make the laws when we can't enforce it? Now, let me, in a synopsis, kind of address some of the reactions.
Yeah.
For one, I quite agree with you. Well, anybody's dress sense should not be a justification for any person to be randy.
Yeah.
All right. I cannot, and let me tell you, Sam, I do pastoral work also. Yeah. So I cannot say because somebody in the congregation is sitting carelessly, therefore I should lose. Why are you laughing now?
It's funny, the picture you're painting.
But I'm just telling you now.
Yeah.
So I cannot just say because right there at the pulpit, when you are at the pulpit, you have an elevation, and then you see the congregation. So if somebody is sitting carelessly, should I abandon my preaching now and then begin to? That shouldn't be. So that is it. That is that. Now, Miriam, is it Miriam or Miriam?
Miriam
made a very great sense. Don't forget that this bill is about first prevention.
Yeah.
And I always tell students, if I'm beginning with the one, I have a daughter who is in school, and I said, look, don't give room for anybody to good. Now I tell you, if at the end of the exam, right, a student, whether male or female, comes running after the lecturer and says, sir, I didn't do well, I didn't write. You made yourself vulnerable at that point.
Yeah.
So don't give room for it. That would be my advice. Don't ever give room for that. And then what other thing? You are talking about the implementation.
Yeah.
Sam, we must implement. The lawmakers who are making this law must ensure that this law is implemented.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll be wasting taxpayers' money. Otherwise, this conversation that I am having with you now will be meaningless and useless at the long run. The reason why, I think that they've taken all the time. Sam, don't forget that this bill started with Bamidele way back 2019. And it is now that they are trying to, dot the I's and cross the T's. So it has taken a long time. And somebody will ask why. So taxpayers' money has been spent, a whole lot has been put in. Maybe they did some research and all of that. So this is the time not just we have to walk our talk.
Indeed.
In this country, we need to walk our talk.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ben, for making the time. I truly appreciate your presence, and I want to tell you for free that this will not be the last.
Thank you for having me.
All right, 5 o'clock brings a news update. After that, we talk politics. Apparently, the PDP went to protest at the U.S. Embassy. Stay with us.